Hello friends, welcome to my channel. As I said last time, there is some delay in my recording in this video, but apologies for that one. First of all, something I'm not able to sit in front of machine and record a session for you. And going forward, I don't want to repeat this one. So this is about Ingress, as I said in my last videos about services and volumes. Okay, we have that session, right? So this is a continuation of this breaking a Kubernetes cluster session. So let's jump into it. So my first question is why we need to manage many load balancers when we have a one gateway to rule them all? Will you agree with this question? Why? Because when you understand if you start any application or microservices, there are so many microservices will be available. So down the line, each microservices having a single service, and that service has to be pointed to a respective URL to expose to the external world. So if you take a big application, there are so many microservices, and how many load balancers you can attach it to that services. So that is very huge, right? So to avoid that one, we have a concept in Kubernetes that is called Ingress. So what Ingress will do, and how this like many load balancers can be optimized to make it as a one single gateway, and how it is working in our Kubernetes cluster. So today we are going to check out. Okay, let's see. Actually, the Kubernetes Ingress Controller, it's mainly used for simplifying your traffic management. As you know, as I said, like there are many microservices, the traffic will be very huge. So to simplify the traffic to make the calls to the each service respectively, so we need a very intelligent controller should be there to stop and provide the traffic to the respective services. For that one, we need this Ingress. Okay. So Ingress is a master in Kubernetes to provide this type of traffic. So if you see in the left-hand side, I have shown you this diagram. These are the different types of Ingress controllers. At the going for, I mean, when you travel with me in this video, you will understand what are the each one and why those are really required in the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Before going to that one, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And let's jump into it. So first of all, what is an ingress? As you know, in my previous video, as I said about there is so many API objects were there. API object is nothing but we have a deployment, pods, services, etc. in Kubernetes. Same like that, we have an ingress API object in the Kubernetes. So what it will do and what are the services it will handle. So basically, Kubernetes ingress is like to access your external traffic. Okay, whatever the external access we have to the services, how we need to manage that services within the cluster. So in within the cluster, how we are going to manage your services, either it is using a node port or you are using a load balancer, how we are going to handle that one. And also for handling this type of services, we can go with the different types of flavors also, like different types of use cases. Here is like we have a HTTP, HTTPS routing. That means you can use your AT or you can use your secure port. You can add your certain key to your service and you can make it secure and you can start your routing. Okay, that is one point. The other point is like it is a path based and host based. What it means? That means you have your domain name and the next part. For example, if you are typing like a smartdevops.com slash, you are giving some service name and you can add your extension to that service name. So that is the path. Okay. Or else you can give your host based routing. For example, you have your subject alternative names, that is SAN entries. You have smartdevops.com is pointing or routing to the different down the line SAN entries. How you can do? Just imagine like if you have a smartdevops.com and that in SAN entry will be like www.smartdevops. So even if the user types smartdevops123.com or Apple smartdevops.com, that service or the response will be same. So that's the beauty of this ingress. Okay, you can use the path-based routing or you can use the host-based routing. I'll explain you the path-based routing when it comes into the annotations, and you can have your termination of this SSL and TLS using your certs and keys. The question is why it is so important. It's as I said, like in the beginning, it will simplify the traffic routing and it will reduce the need of the multiple load balancers. So as in an organization, we have so many microservices, how you can handle with the multiple load balancers and node ports. That will be a very big challenge. So to avoid that challenge, to beat the challenge, we have this ingress in place. Question, why you need to use a ingress controller technically? Okay. As I said, it is an efficiently handle the traffic routing. So if you have ingress controller, you have a centralized entry point. For example, you have 100 services. For all 100 services, the host path routing will be same. So you should type like smartdevops.com slash something. So this is same, right? So this is the centralized entry point. This domain name is configured under the Ingress controller. That Ingress controller will call to the different, down the line multiple services. So that's the centralized entry point for the multiple services. Also, it is a cost effective. Rather than using the external load balancers, if you know, in application load balancers in AWS, or if you use any external cloud provider services, managing the cloud, managing the load balancers, and managing those cloud provider services will be cost. So to avoid that one, we can make use of this Ingress controllers. As I said, it is a TLS termination will be there, and also you can rewrite your URLs. Like you can use your NGINX characters, like some hashed characters, some hash characters. You can provide it, and you can make your routing things in very breeze, and you can provide that response also very quickly when user entered the URL in the browser. There are so many things were there, and these are the different types of Ingress controllers. So basically, NGINX control is the core that we are going to focus on this demo. And there is a traffic. The flavors are different, but depends upon your requirement. You have to choose your Ingress controller. And NGINX, traffic, and HA proxy and Istio gateway, these are all, we can use it in our on-prem or you can use in your cloud also. As also, in other side, we have the same controllers in our cloud also. That will be like EKS, AKS, and GK. Google Kubernetes Engine, Elastic Kubernetes Service, and Azure Kubernetes Services. For this demo, for this video, we are going to focus on the NGINX Ingress Controller demo. Okay. Next, covering the features of this NGINX controller. As I said, we have the path-based and host-based routing and TLS SSL termination when you provide the HTTPS support. And URL rewrites and redirects, you can provide your special characters to your service and it will route very quickly, very fastly. The custom annotations for advanced configuration, this one I will explain you in the complete demo why it is needed and how fast it is working when you provide this, the particular annotations are nothing but, for example, you are using a NGINX service and you want to bring up that NGINX service using a external service. You have one service is running for that one. You want to attach this NGINX service to this normal services. So how this service will identify this NGINX service is something running and how I can attach to that one. So using these annotations, you can say like something for this NGINX is running and you can take that and attach to this service. So that is the basic usage of annotations. I'll explain you more in my demo. As I said, like it is mainly used for the load balancing and session persistence. That means session persistence, it's a very good concept. Like when you start a session, how you make the session to be enabled for some time and how that will be persistent for completing your end-to-end. Like for example, when you start your transaction or when you start opening your page, you enter your details and you can complete your thing. So many things you have to do when you open the page, right? So that is the beauty of this Ingress controller to maintain the session persistence and load balancing. You can have your own NGINX configurations. As you know, we can enable that, we can edit that, and you can use your different types of NGINX configuration snippets also. It's a very high level Ingress architecture. I just want to showcase here is like, as you know, when the user hit the user www.smartdevops.com, that will come to your Ingress controller first, because that is a place where we are configuring this Ingress the complete that's a starting point for your down the line services. So when you hit that one, that will give a call to your down the line services, and then it will call to your pod. So the pod has to provide the response to the services with the respective port number what you have provided, and this will give a ring to the Ingress controller. Yes, the service is available and alive. You can give the response using the domain what provided in the Ingress controller to the user. Okay. I'm going to repeat this again. The pod will be started running it and the pod will get attached to the service is running with the internal port, and service will give a ring to the Ingress controller. Yes, this service is running, and whatever the user provide the domain, yes, that is also exists. You can provide the response to the user with that respective domain. Okay. It will be little complicated. I will show you in the demo so that you will understand very clearly. And the key components are like, as I said, it's a Ingress resources, whatever the Ingress resource we are going to configure in the cluster. And the controller, it is also running it as a pod only. It's not like something different running in the external thing and we are connecting to the cluster. And what the backing services and endpoints like a pods. So this is some common annotations which is required for NGINX Ingress. Because if you provide these things, the particular service will understand and make sure, yes, something is running for NGINX. I need to attach to that service and provide the response, as I said in the last time, right? So that's the main thing. If we use this, it will be identify those changes and react it very quickly. So first one is like, as I said, it is a NGINX thing. And if you want to rewrite the target, like for example, if you want to www.something/.com, you can rewrite the target to the different service also, you can do that. And if you want to do that SSL enabled thing, you can do that SSL redirect one. Or else if you want to provide some regex pattern to identify from the service, whatever we are providing in the domain name, yes, we can enable that also. And we can make the proxy body says whatever the request and response we are making it, that we can make it as a 10M, so that the NGINX Ingress can reduce the body size and we can provide the response accordingly. These are the common annotations for the NGINX Ingress. So this is a simple structure of a Ingress controller. So as I said, like if you see here, we have a Ingress class NGINX. This is the annotations very important for the local services has to identify the Ingress is running and make sure that will get attached to the down the line services. And this host is your domain name, and this is your service. I mean, this is your path, and this path is internally connecting to your service name called store with the port number 80. So here, just notice I am going to use a couple of services like a store and blog services, which is, and the path will be /blog for the blog service, /store for the store service. So when user enter example.com/store, it will route to the store service. And if he enters /blog, it will go to the blog service. So that is what Ingress is designed. Hope you got it now. Next. So I'm going to start a demo for this one. So just focus on it. And if you have any questions, please share your questions in the comment section. So first of all, I'm going to bring up the NGINX Ingress Controller. What are all the things running here now? Okay. If you see here, these are the different types of, my basic core parts were running here. I'm going to bring up the Ingress controller first, and it is creating a namespace and service accounts with this name, and respect to cluster role bindings, config map services, everything will get configured here. Now let's go and check status of those. If you wait for some time, all parts will come up. Let's see. Yeah, Ingress controller came up healthy. And also these are the Ingress admission controls and patch. These are the running it as a pod, and it will start running it and it will complete. Okay. The main, we need to focus on this like Ingress controller only. So if you see, it is in running state only. Next. So here are the sample services with the respective deployments I have created it for. Like if you see blog, it's a service mapping to a deployment. And I'm just writing some content to display when it hit this service. So that's the core of blog, and same thing for the store also. So one is a NGINX image, another one is a HTTP application. So just to showcase the difference for you, I just separated like that. So let me go and run this application. So when you bring up this, mainly I just want to show you this ingress.yaml. And you notice that this is the example ingress, and I'm going to point to this post as smartdevops.com, and it is going to route to this path, blog and store. Okay, and it will again route to the down the line service, store, and the blog will go to the blog service respectively. Now I'm going to bring up all the manifest. So you see the services, you observe this Ingress NGINX controller, which is running it as a load balancer as a default. As you know why, NGINX Ingress Controller, the functionality of this one is to take the request from the user, and it will segregate the traffic to the down the line services, right? So it will be act as a load balancer. My application is running in a single node cluster where I didn't have any cloud providers. So I just want to change that to the node port so that it will be used as a node port to expose that internal services. Let me change that service to, now I'm going to the place where we have that load balancer type and changing that to node port. If you change and save it, we see the services. Yep. So the Ingress controller is now changed to node port, and we have the respective port numbers which are exposed to the external world will be there. As you see here, 80 HTTP and at the same time HTTPS. So both the port numbers are enabled for the Ingress NGINX controller. Now the next part is how our applications are. As I said, like we have the smartdevops.com as your domain name. That domain name / your prefix has to work accordingly. If you give blog or if you give store, it has to route to the respective applications, right? So let's check out that. And also be mindful that I'm using my single node cluster, so it doesn't know which port, which IP address I need to look into for. Okay. So if you see here, so this is my host, smartdevops.com, and it is running now with an address as this one. If you take it as a load balancers, like in a cloud provider, you can get the complete address of your load balancer or something. So you can click that URL with your slash the path, you can provide the response. But for my case, it's not possible. So I just want to edit my etc host file with these two details, and it is not suggestible in our production environment. It's just for a testing purpose only I'm doing it. So let me move this IP address. Okay. Now my etc host file is recognizing the IP address and pointing on respect to D, because right, if you have a DNS purchase from GoDaddy or somewhere, yes, you can make use of those DNS also. Or if you're using a cloud provider, the cloud provider will provide you the respect to ALBs, application load balancers. That can be also we can use here. So now I'm going to save this ctl get pod -a. Let's check once. Yes, all pods are running. You can see all services are running as expected, and blog is running internally, store is running internally, but the Ingress controller is running as a node port, so that we are going to use the curl-k http. What is my domain name? smartdevops.com/blog. So you can see here, it's clearly telling you and routing to the blog site. And if I change this blog to store, you can see it is going to the store service and provide you the response like this. Okay. So that's the beauty of this Ingress. As I didn't change any load balancer, nothing. I have my own domain name, smartdevops.com. I just replaced the down the line services as I given as a path, as a /blog and /store. So if you provide those, it is going to that respect to path, and it is providing the respect to services to the user. Okay. Now let's go back to my PPTs. Yes. Now let's discuss about the best practices for Ingress also. As you know, the main usage of the annotations are very important. If you provide the required annotations, your response will be very quicker and very precise also. Okay. This is a very basic demo I have provided by using in my mission. But when it goes into your production environment, you can have your, even if you take it in a cloud provider also, there is a many applications for expose it to your load balancers with your different types of paths. Okay, you can have your n number of services, attach it to your load balancers via Ingress controller. So that will be that is the very much helpful in your typical cloud or Kubernetes architecture. And always better to use your TLS certificates configurations and also use your health checks for the backend services, because when the services bring up only, your Ingress controller will provide you the response accordingly. So that is the main use of enabling the health checks for your backend services. And always, as I said, like monitoring is a very important for checking your Ingress and at the same time the down the line services also, because as a core, by this time you'll understand like what is a very importance of the services. If the services are down, even your Ingress will not respond accordingly. You will get the bad gateway, because it is trying to reach to that particular service, but it is not getting the response back from the service. It is provide you the bad gateway. So this type of errors we can capture from the Prometheus and Grafana. And in API concept, like when you have a different, when you keep on requesting the services, some different types of errors will come. So to avoid that one, we can rate limit your request, like if you're 10 requests per a minute or something like that, so that even in the production environment also, when the user hit this many requests, yes, it will allow this many requests. And also the whitelisting of the IP address also very important, which are the IPs you have to whitelist to provide the more security to allow inside your cluster. Okay. This is about the Ingress controller, which I expanded from the architecture perspective, annotation perspective, and in the cloud provider perspective and on-prem perspective. So if you have any questions on this one, please drop your questions in the comments. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel to provide this type of content for you. Thanks for watching. Keep supporting. Bye.